Imagine sitting in a quiet diner enjoying your morning coffee when suddenly a Karen walks up and slaps an elderly woman right across the face in front of everyone. And the entire restaurant goes silent as this entitled HOA president stands there with a smug smile thinking she just got away with it. But what she doesn't know is that the elderly woman's son is sitting just a few booths away. And he's not just any ordinary man, but a highly trained Navy SEAL who has been watching the whole thing unfold, and in the next 60 seconds this Karen's life is about to change forever. Because she just made the biggest mistake of her entire life, and trust me when I tell you that. What happens next will leave you absolutely speechless, so stay with me because this story gets even crazier. It was a peaceful Tuesday morning at Miller's Diner in suburban Georgia when the unthinkable happened, and what started as a basic breakfast turned into a viral moment that would change lives forever. Basically, Martha Henderson was 72 years old and had been coming to the same diner for almost 20 years, and every Tuesday morning, she would sit in her favorite booth by the window and order the same thing, which was scrambled eggs with toast and a cup of black coffee. She was a retired school teacher who had dedicated 40 years of her life to educating children in the local community, and everyone who knew Martha described her as kind, gentle, and someone who never caused trouble with anyone. If you look closely, on this particular morning, Martha was sitting quietly reading her newspaper when a woman named Patricia Chambers walked into the diner with her usual entitled attitude. In fact, Patricia was the president of the local homeowners association, and she had a reputation for being difficult, demanding, and looking down on anyone she considered beneath her. Patricia had been harassing Martha for weeks about some minor violation regarding the color of Martha's mailbox, which was supposedly not approved by the HOA guidelines, even though Martha had lived in her home for decades, before the HOA even existed. As Patricia approached Martha's table, her face was already twisted with anger, and without any warning or greeting, she started yelling at Martha about the mailbox situation. In front of everyone in the diner, Martha calmly tried to explain that she had already submitted the paperwork to change it. But Patricia wasn't interested in listening to any explanations or reasonable conversation. The entire diner went silent as other customers watched this scene unfold, and they couldn't believe what they were witnessing as Patricia continued her verbal assault on this sweet elderly woman. Then something happened that nobody expected, and Patricia completely lost control of herself and raised her hand high in the air before bringing it down hard across Martha's face with a loud slap that echoed throughout the entire restaurant. The sound was so shocking that someone dropped their plate and it shattered on the floor, and Martha sat there stunned with her hand on her cheek while tears began to well up in her eyes. To be fair, Patricia stood there with a smug look on her face, believing she had just put Martha in her place. And she even had the audacity to say that maybe now Martha would learn to respect the HOA rules and regulations. Honestly, but what Patricia didn't know was that Martha's son Marcus Henderson was sitting in a booth at the back of the diner having breakfast before heading to his job at the nearby naval base. Honestly, Marcus was not just any regular person, but a decorated Navy SEAL who had served multiple tours overseas and had received numerous commendations for his bravery and service to his country. When Marcus saw what happened to his mother, something inside him shifted, and he stood up from his booth, and his 6'3" frame seemed to fill the entire space. As he walked toward Patricia, simply put, his voice was calm but carried the weight of authority when he asked Patricia if she had just assaulted his mother. And Patricia turned around ready to argue with whoever dared to question her. But her words died in her throat when she saw Marcus standing there. She immediately noticed his military bearing and the intensity in his eyes, and suddenly all of her confidence evaporated, such as morning dew under the hot sun. To be fair, Marcus didn't yell or make threats, but simply pulled out his phone and told Patricia that he had recorded the entire incident on video, and that he would be pressing charges for assault on an elderly person. Simply put, Patricia's face went from smug to pale white in seconds, and she started stammering, trying to backtrack and claiming it was all a misunderstanding and that she barely touched Martha. Simply put, but Marcus wasn't having any of it, and he had already called the police, and within minutes 2 officers arrived at the diner. after being informed about an assault in progress. Honestly, the officers took statements from multiple witnesses who all confirmed that Patricia had indeed slapped Martha without any provocation whatsoever, and they arrested Patricia right there in the diner. As Patricia was being led away in handcuffs, she kept trying to explain that she was the HOA president and that this would ruin her reputation, but nobody felt sorry for her. The other customers in the diner actually started applauding as the officers took Patricia to their patrol car, and several people came over to check on Martha and make sure she was okay. Marcus sat down with his mother and held her hand while the restaurant manager brought over ice for her face and refused to let them pay for their meals. Within days, the video that Marcus had recorded went viral on social media, and millions of people watched as this entitled HOA president got exactly what she deserved. Honestly, Patricia lost her position as HOA president and faced criminal charges for assault, and the Homeowners Association issued a formal apology to Martha and removed all penalties related to her mailbox. To be fair, Martha's story became a symbol of standing up against bullies and entitled people who think they can treat others poorly without consequences, and she received hundreds of supportive messages from people around the country if you look closely. As for Marcus, he simply said he was doing what any son would do, which was protecting his mother from harm, and that nobody had the right to put their hands on another person, especially not a kind elderly woman who had done nothing wrong. If you look closely, the incident at Miller's Diner became a reminder that you never know who someone's family might be, and that treating people with respect should always be the standard, regardless of perceived power or position. If you enjoyed the story of instant karma, then smash that such as button and subscribe to QZ Stories for more incredible real-life stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Drop a comment below telling us what you would have done in this situation. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our next upload.